they say. It comes a day after Greta Thunberg said she's not very successful and is dropping out of school to continue her climate change stuff. That's right. Her parents are letting her drop out of school. It's this is one of those weird youth moment things. Goodness gracious. She is convinced the world is coming to an end and convinced that she is not making things happen the way she wants to make things happen. She's convinced that they're failing, that people aren't meeting standards, and now word comes that Greenland is melting faster than ever before. And the whole thing is a little bit odd. It's kind of a shame. That in and of itself comes just a few days after she said that there were gaining momentum, but she said that on, I guess, the 5th or 6th, and now she's saying that she's going to have to drop out of school because they're not. This audio is so screwed up, I can't actually get it played. But nonetheless, Greta Thunberg, she's going to be Times Person of the Year. Greta Thunberg is the 16-year-old who is adamant that the world is coming to an end in 10 years, forced her mother to give up her international career because her mother would have to fly on a plane. Thunberg gets to sail around the world in yachts of princes and wants you to not travel unless you have yachts of princes to do it. Can we just acknowledge that Times Person of the Year is silly? Silly as much as the Merriam-Webster Word of the Year. Do you know what the Word of the Year is? The dictionary has gone woke. Noah Webster is rolling over in his grave. The Word of the Year is they, singular, for transgender people who identify as neither male nor female. That's right. The dictionary has gone woke. It is Orwellian. Woke dictionaries are tools of authoritarians. Don't believe me? Read 1984. In any event, welcome. It is Erick Erickson here, the Erick Erickson Show across the state of Georgia. The phone number is 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. And we got more to cover. I want to begin. I didn't intend to begin with all that. That just happened. The president is on the campaign trail. The Democrats impeaching. And, well, it's not going the way they expected. And Mitch McConnell is coming out and saying that he actually is pretty sure it's going to go nowhere in the Senate.
I would be totally surprised if there were 67 senators to remove the president. That remains my view. However, we are obligated under the Constitution to turn to it when it comes over, and we will.
Yeah, this is the thing. There's apparently a great divide between the White House and the Senate on this issue and Mitch McConnell. I suspect they're going to need to let McConnell lead on this. McConnell's interpretation of the Senate rules is pretty consistent with the way they've done this in the past, and you need to understand this. The Senate cannot just all of a sudden change the rules. To change the rules midway through a Senate session requires a 2/3 vote, which they're not going to get. And the rules of the Senate as they presently stand say there has to be a trial. McConnell cannot move out of the gate to just dismiss this. That's what the White House wants. They can't do that. What they have to do is they actually have to have a Senate trial, and they can dismiss it once they've had the Senate trial, but they got to have the trial. So what McConnell wants to do purportedly is drag this out in such a way that make it painful on the Democrats. You drag it out for 6 weeks, the Democrats who are running for, and let's see, you still got Klobuchar, you got Warren, you got Booker, you got Michael Bennet is still in there, the senator from Colorado. He's still running. So you got 4 of them still. Maybe you got 5. Kamala Harris has dropped out. Oh, yeah, and you got Bernie Sanders. So you got 5 left. You got 5 left who are running for president in the Senate. Drag it out and make it painful for them. We'll get into the polling, by the way, on the Democrats here. There's some mind-numbing polling here in a little bit. 51% for Joe Biden among black voters. We'll delve into that. But while the Democrats were spinning their wheels in Washington yesterday on impeachment, the president decided to have a rally in Pennsylvania. I want to play you some of the president's supporters who were out there at the rally, interviewed by the media. The media is starting to get nervous. You've got Kathleen Parker, who has a column in the Washington Post and on CNN, has a column out today saying, you idiots, you're going to get this man reelected by doing this. Here's why. Listen to these supporters.
It feels like more of a tailgating party out here. We've got the Jumbotron, lots of enthusiasm. Going to bring in Diane Atkins all the way from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Diane, what are you doing out here? Why make the trip to PA for this rally?
Oh, because we love President Trump. We're representing almost all of the 5 boroughs of New York City here. We got Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. We're in the house, baby, even New Jersey. And we're out here because we love Donald Trump. We love our president. And we can't wait to vote for him in 2020. Trump 2020! Trump, yeah, rain will not stop us. Rain will not stop us.
Why do you guys like the president so much? A lot of people criticize him over some of his rhetoric, things he says. Why do you guys like him?
No, keep tweeting. Donald Trump loves America first and foremost. He's always loved America and put America first. And that's the most important thing. And you know what? He tells it like it is. Whether you love him or hate him, you cannot deny that man tells the truth like it is. And that's why you've got thousands of people that will stand in the rain to go and see him for an hour and a half.
Yep. These people love him. They adore him. You know, I was talking to a person up in North Georgia on Friday. He was at the dinner I was at Senator Bruce Thompson's house. He was a political activist up in North Georgia, and he leaned over to me. He says, "Man, I'm worried about Brian Kemp." So why are you worried about Brian Kemp? He says, this Loeffler situation. I said, well, why? Get her up there. She's good. And he'll say, no, these people, you go slightly north of me in North Bartow County and north of here. He says, these people, they love the president. And I said, well, I know. He says, no, you don't understand. He says, the president wanted Doug Collins. That's what they think. And they're going to hold it against Brian Kemp that he didn't give the president Doug Collins. I don't know. But there's a consensus. These people, they love the president. It is the president's party. In the same way the Democrats became Barack Obama's party, there were people who did not consider themselves Democrats but loved Barack Obama. There are people who don't consider themselves Republicans, but they love Donald Trump. And Donald Trump ate it up last night on stage in Pennsylvania.
And the reason they announced it on the same day, 1 hour later, they announced impeachment. A few guys standing behind her. They announced impeachment, and then an hour later, she announced that she's going to do USMCA. You know why? It's a huge deal, and it plays down the impeachment because they're embarrassed by the impeachment, and our poll numbers have gone through the roof because of her stupid impeachment.
Her stupid impeachment. You know, his polling is actually up. His job approval rating is up. Probably has more to do with the economic news, but still.
To say this, look, and I always have to say this, you have some really great journalists and you have some honest publications, but not too many of them, I have to be honest with you. The legislator, well, you know that. Does anybody think the media is honest? Does anybody think they're totally corrupt and dishonest? All right.
You know, there's actually polling out today on this, that in particular, white people and men are now less likely to believe the media. This is from Neiman Labs. Came out late yesterday. Different groups of Americans perceive news very differently. It depends on your race, gender, age, education level, and political affiliation, according to a new RAND survey of 2,543 Americans aged 21 and older. The research is part of RAND's ongoing truth decay research. There's plenty here that won't be surprising to people who followed research from Pew and others. People who rely primarily on print and broadcast TV for news tend to be significantly older. Those who rely primarily on online platforms for news tend to be younger. But RAND fleshes these categories out additional demographic characteristics. People whose primary news sources are social media and in-person contacts are generally younger and female, and they tend to have less education than college degree or lower household incomes. People whose primary news sources are print publications and broadcast television tend to be older, and they are less likely to be married. People whose primary news source is radio are significantly more likely to be male, less likely to be retired, and more likely to have college degrees. People whose primary news sources are online platforms are significantly younger, more likely to be male and have a college degree and higher income, and less likely to be black. Now, interestingly enough, 44% of respondents said they believe the news is as reliable now as it is in the past. 41% say less reliable, but this varies on demographics without attention to partisanship. Respondents who were white, male, or retired, or who had higher incomes or less than a college education were significantly more likely to believe the news is less reliable now. Conversely, women, racial or ethnic minorities, and those without college degrees were more significantly likely to say they believe the news is more reliable now than in the past. People who did not vote were less likely than others to report believing the news is more reliable now than in the past. Compared with Clinton voters, those who voted for anyone else were more than 3 times as likely to report a perception the news is less reliable. Married people and people who voted for someone other than Trump or Clinton were much more likely to rate obtaining news in person as the most reliable method. A third of people get most of their news from platforms that they also believe are not the most reliable. Now, here's the thing. Let me go back to a detail and pull something out of here that isn't being pulled out of here. Without attention to partisanship, respondents who were white, male, or retired, or who had higher incomes or less than a college education were more likely to believe the news is less reliable now. I want to make an extrapolation here. If you have higher income, you tend to be successful in a field about which you have deep knowledge. And if you tend to be successful in a field about which you have deep knowledge, you tend to know about that field because you have that deep knowledge. And so when the media reports on it, you can tell that the media gets a lot of stuff wrong on it. For example, I can tell you, being in radio, the number of stories you read, and let me speak on Rush Limbaugh for a minute, who is a friend, who helped me get into radio, for whom I guest hosted for a number of years. Rush Limbaugh oftentimes gets in the media, and the media talks about his business, and they have been cheering on Rush's demise for a decade. And every time you read a story about Rush Limbaugh in the media, they get it all wrong. The media very clearly does not understand the radio industry. They don't understand how ratings work, and they don't understand Rush Limbaugh or his audience, or advertisers for that matter. So the media reports these stories, and the media gets it all wrong, and then they blast Rush Limbaugh for casting doubt on the media. Well, he's got every reason to cast doubt on the media because the media's gotten everything wrong. But if you're less than college educated, you also believe the news is less reliable. You know what network people without college degrees tend to watch news networks? Fox. That's not to criticize Fox. Don't take that the wrong way. People who are blue-collar workers, people without a college degree, tend to vote Republican. They tend to like the president. They tend to watch Fox. They tend to see on Fox because Fox spends a great deal of time highlighting how all the other news networks got stuff wrong. Of course they're going to disagree. It's just a fascinating dynamic here. Now, I want to go back to one other blurb. People whose primary news source is radio, that would be you. They're more significantly likely to be male. They're less likely to be retired, and they're more likely to have a college degree. If you're listening to radio, the odds are you're male, have a job, and a college degree. Now, you individually, you're saying, well, that's not me. Well, maybe it's not you. But overall, that tends to be the case. You know what the demographics are for the Resurgent, my website that is tied into this radio show? 42-year-old male father of 3 who spends 30 minutes in the car commuting to a white-collar job where he makes 6 figures. Actually, 80,000 is the median income, 80,000 and up typically. He cares more about sports than he does the news, but he listens to this radio program and goes to my website because he feels like he needs to be engaged in politics for the sake of his children. That is the demographics of people who connect to me. 42, father of 3, commutes 30 minutes, white-collar job, $80,000 a year job. That's it. Now, that may not be you, but that tends to be the average, which is interesting. But it all goes back to this. I have for years now done this psychographic. They call it psychographic, not just demographic. What are their interests and things like that, not just whether they're white or black or male or female. And it's been very consistent over time. The number of people who have connected with me online or on radio are late 30s, mid 30s to 40s. So they're older and they're younger, but that tends to be the average. And they don't like politics. In fact, that's one reason I try to make a point not to spend all of my time on politics, is they don't like politics. They would rather talk about other stuff, but they feel like they've got to be engaged. And they're coming just for street shooting news more than anything. We're seeing this. And for the president to go on the attack on the media last night in his rally, as he's been doing, it works, and the media hates it. The media is really mad about it. But it works because people get the joke. The only people who don't are people in the media.
Want to be on the show? Call Eric now at 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-
Okay, I got to tell you, I do this on the other radio show, but if you go to omahasteaks.com, I'm doing this. They're not actually paying me here to do this. I just actually am a customer and love them. And I got some of these bacon wrap fillets from Omaha Steaks with a deal they're doing. It's really good. If you go to omahasteaks.com and you put my first name, Erick, E-R-I-C-K, in the search bar, you can get an incredible deal on these bacon wrap fillets. And they got pork chops and potatoes au gratin and other stuff they send to you. It's good. And if you want a great deal for somebody, I think it's $69. It's a big pile of food. Just go to omahasteaks.com and put Erick in the search bar. It's awesome. And again, this isn't an ad. It really isn't. I love them. And I am doing a deal with them somewhere else, but I figured I'd share it with you because it's a great deal. Now, David in Kennesaw, going to go to you first today. Welcome.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. I just wanted to talk about the potential for the Senate to get into some of the issues, the Democrat corruption that the Republicans in the House were not allowed to bring certain witnesses. And in the Senate, it seems like I saw a story today that Lindsey Graham perhaps is not willing to go there. But I know some people were hoping that some of these issues on the Democrat side could be brought up in a Senate trial. Is Lindsey Graham afraid of opening Pandora's box, or what do you think?
Well, so the question is over Biden, whether or not they could bring up some of the stuff on Biden and Burisma. They could, to the extent they wanted to show the president had a reasonable basis for probing, and they may do that. Here's the thing about impeachment, David. The Republicans in the Senate can work with the Democrats to lay out the rules. If they can't get agreement, they use the Clinton rules. If they use the Clinton rules on impeachment, they're pretty broad as to what the Senate can do. They can even, for example, even though the House couldn't get John Bolton and Mick Mulvaney to show up, they could get Mick Mulvaney and John Bolton to show up for a Senate trial and force their testimony. And the courts have to stay out of it. The rules for the Senate are basically, there are no rules when it comes to impeachment other than what the Senate says. And the potential witnesses cannot run to the judiciary and say, wait a second, executive privilege, I don't have to speak. And the president can't claim executive privilege in an impeachment trial either. If the Senate wants someone to testify in impeachment, the Senate gets to have them testify whether they want to or not, which is actually amazing that the Senate gets to do that. And the Chief Justice of the United States signs off on it. So they could. But now here's why Lindsey doesn't want to go down that road. Lindsey Graham wants to drag this out as much as possible to hurt the Democrats running in Iowa and New Hampshire, but he also at the same time doesn't want to do a deep dive. He wants to do a superficial dive because he doesn't want to give the Democrats political ammunition to say, wait a second, the Republicans have turned this on Joe Biden. They're trying to protect the president. He wants to actually drag it out and show that the Democrats wasted everybody's time and taxpayer money on impeaching the president for the first time and show everyone, in fact, that it was a highly political process. And so it's kind of counterintuitive. Lindsey wants to drag it out, but he doesn't want to do a deep dive. And he really wants to spend the time highlighting that this was a partisan political operation by the Democrats who wasted taxpayer money and make hay out of it in that regard. It is Erick Erickson here. The phone number, 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. I will be sending out a recipe later today. It's a drop sugar cookie recipe, and they're silver dollar sugar cookies, which I never had before. My mother-in-law got the recipe from a friend, and I may have eaten a whole batch. They were highly addictive. They were very good, perfect for Christmas time. If you want the recipe, text recipe to 33777. I'll send it out later today. What happens, just so you know, when you text recipe to 33777, you get a text message back asking for your email address. And when you send your email address, you get signed up for the list. And you'll get an email in your email inbox from me with a link to all the historic recipes I've sent. So the gumbo recipe, the breakfast recipes, the other cookies, everything will be in there. You can click through and find. But that's what happens with the process. Now, the Democrats are spitting mad over something the president did. He his campaign rather, sent out a video. And it had the president's face digitized onto Thanos snapping his finger with the gauntlet on, Infinity Gauntlet on, and then it showed the Democratic press conference where they were announcing impeachment, and all the Democrats turned to ashes. Oh, the guy who came up with Thanos has come out, almost crying. He's so upset. I can't believe the president did that to my creation. I'm sorry. I realize it's so stupid. It's funny because it's so stupid. The Democrats are really upset with the president, and the media is really upset with the president for this. And it's a stupid meme that was circulated. And this again, there's a reminder here. I bring it up because there is a real reminder here how the president is able to control the narrative in a way that Democrats haven't been able to and can't. They can't do it. The president can come out and tweet out a meme, and they lose their minds over it. Don Lemon had a complete meltdown about it last night, about the president on the Thanos meme.
Followed has led him to the brink of impeachment. That's how we got here. In addition to all the lies and all the blustering at tonight's rally, Trump's war room posted a meme on Twitter today showing Trump as the supervillain Thanos from the Marvel Avengers movies, dispatching his Democratic enemies. Take a look at this.
I am inevitable.
On this solemn day, I recall that the first order of business for members of...
And they all turned to ash. Don is silent.
What are we, in junior high school? Like, what the hell? What is this? Like what? What? I cannot believe that I'm even having to report this on the news. This is crazy. This is literally crazy. Are you people insane? Are you insane? Go ahead. Troll the Democrats on Twitter. Do this stupid, silly, you know what? Play this stupid, juvenile meme game. History won't record this meme, stupid crap. But history will record this, the seriousness of what is happening. That today is the day that the House of Representatives in the United States of America introduced articles of impeachment against President Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America, for committing high crimes and misdemeanors.
And he kind of smirks
deal.
there.
And lots to discuss. John Kasich, next.
John Kasich, next. Don, I love you, man, but come on, who's crazy? The guy who loses his business over a meme, or the people who pushed out the meme and all had a laugh? I mean, we need a lot more humor in American society, and I mean, come on. It was clever. You got to admit it was a clever meme, but they can't admit it. That's the crazy thing here. There's just no humor. No humor at all. Meanwhile, the president's out having a blast on the campaign trail last night.
A few weeks ago, the United States Special Forces brought the world's #1 terrorist to justice. Thanks to the strength and courage of our warriors, and they are great warriors, the bloodthirsty savage known as al-Baghdadi is now dead. And he was quickly replaced by his second in command, and his second in command is now dead.
Yeah, they got stuff to cheer about. He's the president. He can reshape the conversation.
You know, they talk about the elite. You're the elite. They're not the elite. You're the elite. You're the elite. You got better education. You got better everything. You're the elite. It always bothers me. They said, the elite. This is the elite. Look at these people. How beautiful. This is the elite. You know who are the elite? You look at those jobs reports where the best in history unemployment for African Americans, best in history unemployment Hispanic Americans, best in history unemployment Asian Americans. You're the elite. You're the elite. Any Democrat that votes for this sham will be voting to sacrifice their House majority, their dignity, and their career. Okay?
And he threw in a dig on Joe Biden.
Hey, do you ever notice where Biden keeps saying he's in the wrong state? Like if he's in Ohio, it's great to be in Iowa tonight. If he's in Pennsylvania, it's wonderful to be in the state of Delaware. What is wrong with this guy? What's wrong with him? There's something wrong. Okay? There's something wrong. No, he keeps... How many times can you do that? So far, it could happen, because, you know, I was doing 6 and 7 a day that last month. That last beautiful month that I loved. I was doing 6. I left these guys alone. I didn't want to do interviews. They were a waste of time. We just did these big, beautiful rallies. I was doing... And, you know... If you start getting a little, you know, I went to Michigan, then I went to Wisconsin, then I went, I'm saying, you know, like, what the hell is going on? These crowds are incredible. And we had the biggest crowds. By the way, to this day, there has never been, and they'll always correct me, in the history of politics, in the history of our country, there has never been anybody that drew crowds like we draw. And I don't have a guitar. I have no guitar. But this has never happened.
Here's the thing. Let's just can we step away from the merits for just... I got some Doug Collins audio on the merits. We'll get there. On the politics of impeachment, I was in law school, I guess. It had just started law school when the Clinton impeachment happened. And while the impeachment was happening, Bill Clinton was flying around the country rallying Democratic voters, whipping them into a frenzy, getting them excited. And there was no corresponding Republican who could do that. It wasn't a campaign year. Now, it is a campaign year with this impeachment trial, but it'll be happening when you got a bunch of Democrats who will be in the Senate and can't leave during the trial. And the other Democrats, maybe Joe Biden can go out and do that. Obama's not going to go out and do that. Clinton's not going to be wanted on the campaign trail to do that. So the president can go out there and rally as not just the commander-in-chief and the president with Air Force One and all the spectacle and motorcade, but the Democrats are still fighting over who's going to be the person on their side. And in fighting over who's going to be the person on their side to figure it out and make it happen, they're going to have trouble with a consistent message against the president other than Orange Man Bad. The president, meanwhile, can talk about how they're wasting time, they're not getting things done, they're dragging things out. Now, that's one reason that Nancy Pelosi is trying to do USMCA and paid family leave at the same time, is she wants to neutralize the Democrats' ability, or neutralize the Republicans' ability, rather, to go out and say, look, they're doing nothing. She wants to be able to go out and say, look, we're getting all this other stuff done, too. But then that gives legitimacy to the president. So it gives legitimacy to the president, and it doesn't give legitimacy to the Democrats because the Democrats are still squabbling. It allows the president to do massive fundraising with the base. I got a text message from random number yesterday. Where is this number? This is worth it. Just bear with me. I realize. Yeah, here it is. I got a text message. I don't know how I'm on the list, but turn on the news. House Democrats are filing articles of impeachment. We've activated emergency 5X matching to defend President Trump here. And you click through the link and you go to that WinRed site and it's not to fundraise for the president. It's to help Drew Ferguson and House Republicans defend Trump. It is. It will help. Look, I didn't even realize yesterday. I assumed it was from the president's campaign. And it's not. It is from the campaign of Drew Ferguson from here in Georgia. You click the link and go through, and it is helping Drew Ferguson and House Republicans defend Trump. So it's Drew Ferguson who is fundraising off of this. It's not even the president yesterday with the text message. It's House Republicans are fundraising. It's incredible. Incredible that they're doing it. Incredible that they got this fundraising set up. Incredible that the Democrats are marching into a campaign season. They do not have yet chosen their designated leader to counter the president. Imagine, just contrast the setup right now, where you've got the president versus 2,000 Democrats. And each of those Democrats has their own message. Some of them are more moderate. Some of them are more progressive. Some of them really hate the president. Some of them want to make it about his policies, not about him. They've got a mixed message. And then the House Democrats are stepping all over each other. Versus one man. Imagine if the Democrats had one person to counter the president on the campaign trail. And you would think that Biden would be able to do it. But, that's not going to happen because you got all the Democrats in the Senate who also want to be president as well. And they're not going to let Biden have unified message. And then you got Buttigieg out there. Buttigieg isn't going to let the Democrats in the Senate take any credit on this stuff. He's going to go for it. Who else do you have out there now? Oh, you got Bloomberg out there, and you still got Steyer out there. Let's not forget them. Bloomberg is pouring massive amounts of money into the efforts. In fact, Bloomberg may be able to do this because here's the thing. Bloomberg wants to be able to run attack ads against the president at the candidate rate. What you may not realize is that, for example, on this radio program, I cannot. Just let me pull the curtain back so you can see behind the business. We give this radio show away for free at no cost to the stations that are running it, and we give them 17 minutes of time that they can use for local news, commercials, traffic, anything they want. And our long-term business model is we will take my time talking and insert some advertisers. We're doing it. Chris Burns now is our first big advertiser with Dynamic Money. By the way, happy birthday to Chris Burns. It's his birthday today. We'll be trying to insert some ads during my talk time. So if you want to shut me up, you can buy ads on the show statewide in Georgia. So you come on this show, your ads hit every part of Georgia. But we can't take ads from candidates. We can take Super PAC ads because Super PAC ads, you run at a commercial rate and you don't have to do disclosures and affidavits for them. We cannot do candidate ads because if I were to put a candidate ad, for example, the Loeffler campaign already reached out and said, can we run ads on your show? It'll be one-stop shop, hit all of Georgia at one time. And I said, no, because I would have to file an affidavit with the FCC and the FEC, and each local station we're on would have to do the same thing for that ad. It's too much of a bureaucratic nightmare for local commercial stations to have to do if I were to do something like that to them. So it's a difficult thing to do, but the reason I can do it with Super PACs is because they're not considered candidates with a candidate rate. Candidates get a discounted rate to advertise on broadcast airwaves. It's one of the deals. The radio station gets the right to use airwaves in this country, and in exchange, they have to allow candidates for federal office, that it doesn't apply to state and local, by the way, federal office, to broadcast at a discounted rate. Bloomberg wants to be able to savage the president. If Bloomberg were to start up a super PAC to savage the president, he would have to pay commercial broadcast rates. But Bloomberg running for president means he can attack the president and run an entire nationwide ad campaign against the president, and he'll only get charged candidate rates. So he will save some money. The man's not stupid. He's a billionaire for a reason. He doesn't want to be president. He just wants to savage the president without paying super PAC commercial rates on radio and TV.
National connections, local focus. Erick Erickson is live every weekday.
Hello there. It is Erick Erickson. If you want to be a part of the program, 877-97-ERIC, 877-973-7425. Man, I haven't even gotten to William Barr yet. We are bogged down with the president's rally. I want to shift gears. And this is, I realize we're a Georgia show and I'm about to talk about Texas, but I want you to pay attention to this story and consider it a challenge for Georgia. In Texas, new state figures show more children are leaving foster care for safe, permanent homes than are entering the child welfare system. Adoptions surged past 6,000 for the first time, according to Child Protective Services. Additional resources, combined with a tenacious work ethic, have led to unprecedented success for the Department of Family and Child Services, said Governor Greg Abbott. Texas is better because a record number of children have been adopted in 2019 and are experiencing the joy of a loving home this Christmas season. More than 20,000 children left Texas foster care, including more than 6,000 who were adopted in fiscal year 2019. More than half of the adoptions, 3,095, were by relatives, also a new record. The number of children leaving foster care outnumbered the number entering foster care by more than 1,700 children, a trend the state hopes will continue. While the number of children entering the state's care has dropped in recent years to 18,615, the number of adoptions has increased by 25% in the last decade. I bring this story up because here in Georgia, we have a lot of kids still in foster care, and the number continues to grow, in large part because of the continuation of the opioid crisis. Parents who get addicted to drugs, families addicted to drugs. I was reading a story the other day about, where was it? Brunswick, maybe? Somewhere, McIntosh County. Yeah, McIntosh County. A family where all of the adults in the house have an opioid addiction. And the kids have had to go into foster care. It's really amazing to me. It's sad. It is so sad to hear. So sad to think about. And, you know, I've seen research. I was talking to a market analyst a while back who told me that on particularly TV news, one of the topics that local TV news and local radio news, for that matter, are encouraged not to cover is the opioid crisis, which is a huge crisis the national media is covering. Why is local news encouraged not to talk about it? Well, it's because every single person listening to me right now probably knows someone who has battled or is battling an opioid addiction. That's how pervasive it is. And it depresses you, and so you don't want to think about it. And so here I am killing everybody's ratings talking about it. But seriously, though, foster care in Georgia needs your help. DFACS actually needs your help getting presents to kids this Christmas season. If you want to help DFACS cover this, is taxpayers don't pay for Christmas presents for kids. You got to step up and help DFACS. You can text donate to 33777, and I'll send you back the link to DFACS where you can donate to their Santa program for kids in foster care. Let's get every kid in Georgia who's in foster care a Christmas present this year.